pull focus or a rack focus. It's a technique that's used all the time, and it's basically changing your point of focus from one subject to another. So going back to when we was talking about shallow depth of field a couple of weeks back, to achieve a pull focus we need like a sufficient shallow depth of field in order to have a discernible difference between the two subjects. Basically, you just focus up on the first subject that you want to focus on, and then turn the focus barrel until you hit focus on the second subject. And this is great for directing people's eyes to where you want them to be looking in the scene. So when we're at a low angle shooting up at our characters or our subjects, we can see the kind of effect that it has. It's lending a sense of power and dominance to the character in focus. They appear big and powerful, and by looking up at them we're kind of put in the shoes of whether it's the victim or just the character on the other end of this subject, and we can kind of see it through their eyes and see how domineering they appear. And on the flip side to the low angle, one of the key reasons we might want to get some shots from high angle is because of the effect that it has when we're looking down on our characters or our subjects. So if we look at all these examples, what we notice is that it makes them look small and maybe weak and vulnerable. So whereas the low angle, we're looking up at people and giving them that element of power, by looking down on them, this has the complete flip effect, and we're almost looking down at them in a kind of pitying way. With this rule, we have an imaginary line that's kind of connecting our two characters that are talking together. And what we need to do, we need to make sure that we stay on one side of this line when we're filming, just so we have an accurate geography of where our characters are placed and which way they're talking. Because if we cross the line, we would see that the characters are talking to the opposite directions that they were facing before, and it completely throws the viewer off because you're confused because you were speaking the opposite direction a minute ago. And if these two characters are having a conversation, then all of a sudden they could be facing the same way as each other, and it just doesn't make any sense. So it's important that generally we stay on that one side of that line.